You are live.
Thank you, Rosie. I would like to call to order the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors meeting. We are on Zoom. It is September 22nd, 2020 at 10:04 p.m. We do have quorum. I would like to have a roll call, please. I will find the sheet here shortly.
You want to correct the time with 10:04 a.m., not p.m.
Yeah. Mike Metzger is here.
In the morning.
10:04 a.m. Thank you. Mike Metzger is here. Gary Henry.
Here.
Hans Auer.
Here.
Mark Odell.
Here.
Stephen Thorpe. Brad Walters.
Here.
Let the record show that there are 6 members present. We have quorum. I now would ask to entertain a motion for the approval of the July 28th minutes that you have received. Do I have a motion? Sorry, motioned by Mark, seconded. Second by Hans. Any discussion, comments, changes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
I'm seeing all ayes. Opposed? No opposed, abstain. Motion carried unanimously. Now let's move to new business, and this will be presented by Christine and Millen.
Good morning and welcome, John. We have John Rapp with us today from Hanover PV and also RIC Development. So welcome, John. Thank you for joining us also.
Thank you.
I'll provide some overview comments for the project, and then we can invite John to speak in a little bit more detail. So the IDA has received a pilot application from Hanover PV LLC. And the company wishes to construct a new solar farm, 5 megawatts, on 33 acres of land leased from an entity called Rattlesnake Enterprises. This is owned by Steve Valvo in the Silver Creek area. They'll develop 31.14 acres of this property, and that's inside the fence plus the buffer lease area. They'll install equipment which will include solar panels, steel trackers, inverters, transformers, switchgear, cabling, wiring, and combiner boxes. The project budget is $6,895,000. Again, requesting real property tax abatement, also sales tax abatement, and mortgage recording tax abatement. The real property tax abatement would be over 25 years, sales tax for a period of 1 year. New jobs projected include approximately 30 construction jobs and 1/2 FTE going forward for maintenance. Documents were forwarded to the board mid-August related to this project. We re-forwarded them again last week with an additional document, which was the impact analysis, which we now provide to the board. The impact analysis showed for the nearly $7 million investment with the different incentives, approximately a 1-to-1 cost to benefit ratio. John, can you tell us a little bit more about your project and what led you to the Silver Creek area?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. Thanks, Christine, and thanks everyone for taking the time this morning. I'll keep kind of the overview stuff brief in case there's questions. And Christine, that was a good intro.
And John, I'm just having a little trouble hearing. If you could speak up a little bit, then we can all hear you a little better.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. So, yeah, we've been working with the landowner there in Silver Creek for just about a year. You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you right now. Thank you.
Great. And he was actually quite instrumental in working with the town of Hanover there to develop a solar law. So the project, as you described, is a single axis tracking project. My company, RIC Energy, we've been in the business of developing and building projects just like this one for about 15 years internationally and 10 years in the United States. It's being developed under the Community Distributed Generation Program through NYSEG, and that's going to allow us to sell energy from the project to generate bill credits, and those credits are then sold to ratepayers in NYSEG service territory. The project will take about 3 months to build, 3 to 4 months usually. We'll do some grading. Some of the areas wooded right now that'll need to be cleared. The rest is currently hayland, so be fairly low impact. Do some grading. We do post pounding, install the racks, trackers, and then have electrical folks come out, do the terminations and things of the electrical connections. Civil work, pouring concrete pads that hold just the inverters and the switchgear on them. And then once the site is done with construction, there's really only, maybe in the first year, there's a few visits for commissioning, testing, etc. And then once the project's operational, there's usually only a couple of visits a year to do kind of general maintenance. A bit more than that to do mowing and that sort of thing. But for the product itself, it's pretty light touch once it's operational. So that's kind of the general overview of the project. I guess you've all had a chance to review the application, for what time's available. It may make sense to be able to answer any questions folks might have.
Yeah, this is Rich Dixon with the IDA. I'm curious about that site and the proximity to the transmission line. What type of transmission line was there that you hooked in, and how was your experience with National Grid?
Nice thing.
Nice.
No, it's great. There's a line that's a 12.5 kilovolt line that runs right up 5 and 20 there that we'll tie into. So the project is set back 500 feet from the road. That's compliant with the town law, and it's also the landowner there, is looking, I think, to rent that land out for a higher use along the road front. But so we'll have an easement that'll connect the site to the road to 5 and 20 to connect to the line there. And then the substation's right in Silver Creek. So generally speaking, we like to site these projects closer to the substation. It's less expensive working with NYSEG to do the upgrades that they need to do to accommodate the project. And so this is, kind of an ideal site.
Thank you.
That's Mark.
As an aside, I'm sorry, Mark, go ahead, please.
Oh, go ahead. Just a few questions, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. Just to verify, just on a construction thing, I think you touched on this, John. We're looking at, pile driven or post pound, right? On the mounts.
Right.
Okay. Substation, good question, Richard. These are the questions we typically ask on these. Power purchase agreement, this is a community solar project, right? This house being built. Okay. Good. And what last question was, that one of the things I wasn't sure of, because we got the project description last night, and it cites, please find attached site plan for further details, which I didn't see in there, but you're saying it's 500 feet off the frontage of 5 and 20, right?
Correct.
Setback. Okay.
Oh, there's Mark. That's attached to the back of the application, so it's
Okay.
separate document. Yes.
Okay. That's all I got, John. Thank you.
No, good questions. Also, I wanted to make sure that the record shows that Kelly Farrell Du Bois is now attending the meeting. And are you open to additional projects in Chautauqua County of similar nature?
In fact, yes, we have several projects that are in development in Chautauqua County that we've worked with both Christine and Carol and Rich on. So I expect to be speaking to you often over the next year, hopefully.
Great. Thank you. Now we'll ask Millen to review the resolution.
Happy to. This is a preliminary resolution. It does not commit the agency, but it authorizes and instructs the staff to move forward, including due diligence, draft documents, holding a public hearing, and this is technically a deviation from your UTEP. So prior to the meeting at which the IDA would consider final approval, we would send out the deviation letters. My understanding is that the pilot that has been discussed is the now standard, if you will, $5,000 per megawatt with a flat 2% annual increase. And this resolution also authorizes a preliminary agreement between the IDA and the developer, allowing the developer to get one milestone in terms of their approval, and the IDA to execute the agreement for the payment of fees, etc. So other than that, it's a very straightforward application. We will obviously be conducting a secret review before we come back to the board, hopefully at the next meeting, for final approval.
Great, thank you. I apologize, Christine. Did you have anything more to add regarding the project?
I was just going to ask if John could discuss the timeline for the project.
Sure. So we actually have before the town of Hanover on Monday night there'll be a public hearing for the project. This is to approve the special use permit. We also have a variance in place that's for setbacks not on the front, which will be more than 500 feet, but on the sides and back. And the ground coverage is a bit in excess of what the limit is for the solar law. So the variance will cover those two issues. And then we're hoping that they'll deliberate over the next month or so and issue the special use permit. We've got the winter to kind of order equipment and do planning, et cetera, and we'd expect to be out there clearing and grading, when the snow's gone.
Thank you.
Yeah, I might make one other comment, if it's okay, just about kind of the 25-year plan here. The program itself is 25 years, and this is financed. So, the value that we generate from NYSEG, they're buying the renewable energy credits from us, and then there's that's a fixed value for 25 years, and there's another payment that's for the sort of relief to the grid that the project provides that's fixed. And so having, the operating costs are very low for a solar project. Once it's operational, the revenues are fixed. And so it's really important not to have a ton of variability in that pro forma for the financing of the project for 25 years. And having the duration of the pilot equal the duration of the benefits from NYSEG is an important factor to make this thing work. That's why we've asked for 25 years.
Thank you, excellent. Thank you, Christine, for your hard work and seeing this project through fruition. And thank you, John, and your company in thinking of Chautauqua County. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Gary, if you could please read new business A2.
Please move resolution 09-22-20-01 Hanover PV LLC preliminary resolution.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Seconded by Hans. Motion made by Gary, seconded by Hans. Any further discussion? I have to say seeing none instead of hearing. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please. Mike Metzger votes aye. Gary Henry?
Aye.
Hans Auer?
Aye.
Mark Odell?
No.
Stephen Thorpe? Stephen?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Brad Walters?
Aye.
Aye. Kelly Farrell DuBois?
Aye.
Thank you. Let the record show that we have 6 votes in the affirmative, 1 negative. Motion carried. Thank you, John. You're welcome to stay on for the rest of the meeting, but I'm sure you probably have, not that you, but different things to do. So,
Absolutely.
and best of luck.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you,
Yep.
John.
Thank you, John.
Got it.
Okay, new business 2. Why don't I ask Mark if you could please read that new business B1 resolution? Move it.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Resolution 09-22-20-02. Resolution of the members of County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency to accept Department of Commerce's Economic Development Administration Award of $10,505,067 to the revolving loan fund as amended. Please to remove that one.
Thank you, Mark. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Brad. This is unbelievable. Do we get to split the $67 among the board members?
Pizza party.
This is incredible. I'll let Rich lead this as he was the master of ceremonies at the ceremony last week.
You're muted, Rich. That's because Mark wasn't around. But no, we did receive the letter in May, and I took it to Mark. And Mark, go ahead and talk about what we did from there. It's a good story.
Yeah, I mean, we, it's a real tribute to the IDA and the board and the work that's been done over the past 30 plus years, and also the work that we did in creating that working capital loan program when COVID hit. And, when the CARES Act was passed, the EDA contacted us and invited us to apply for up to $10 million. So we worked to put together a good application. The whole staff, especially Rich and Nate and myself, responded to that. And lo and behold, we were awarded what we asked for, plus a little more. So we're thrilled. But I think the really great thing about this is that it's for all sectors. Whereas the LTEC loan fund was really for the industrial sector, if you will, this is for all sectors other than housing, and also for non-for-profits. So we really need to get this money out there. We have 2 years to lend this out. And, when we took this to the loan committee, we may have, jumped the gun a little bit, but the loan committee, especially Hans, said, we really, need more information, and we need kind of a strategy for how we're gonna, the criteria that we're going to use to lend this out, to make sure it's equitable. And so we went back kind of to the drawing board and put together a strategy. So what I want to talk about just real quick is 2 things. One is some of the marketing that we're doing. And I don't know if either Nate or Rose can share the 1-page flyer that we put together.
Sent out.
Would you like me to share it, Mark?
Yeah, if you would.
Yep, I can pull it up.
Just real quick, and I'll do this quickly. So we've got budgeted to do marketing. So we're doing. You probably saw them in the paper. We're doing ads in the paper. We're doing social media. We're doing radio, and we're also going to do a video to put out there. And what Rose is going to share here is the 1-page summary that we're posting on our website. And so the ads that are running refer to the website, and we've purposely been a little bit vague on, we're not putting the application online intentionally because we really want people to call.
Can't see it, Rosie.
I was just going to say, I don't mean to interrupt, but for some reason it's not letting me open the file. Nate, can you share your
Nate,
screen?
Can you do that?
I have it open, Rosie.
Thank you.
So this is just kind of a, and I won't go through this whole.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so we've got a number of, marketing approaches occurring. We've been working with our consultants and so we're feeling pretty good that we're getting the word out. But this is the one pager that we put together that really kind of gives a general description of what the funding is and what it can be used for, the eligibility requirements, how the funding can be used, the timeline, how to apply, and how to apply is they call the office, they get referred to a business development manager that can kind of screen the folks. We don't want to get inundated with applications that maybe of folks that don't qualify. And then about the IDA. So that's kind of what is on our website and what we're using in our social media ads or some variation thereof. So if you want to remove that and call up the two-pager, the memo. So what we're doing today is we're asking you to approve acceptance of the loan and for me to sign any paperwork that has to do with that. And that also, by the way, includes acceptance of the plan. So we had a nice session, I thought, last week with the loan committee where we ran through kind of what the CARES, the revolving loan fund that we're talking about is based on the LTEC loan fund, and that's our template. However, there are certain variations, certain amendments to the LTEC loan fund. And some of those are,
Rosie, Mark, excuse me, Mark, what's that called on the agenda, Rosie? I don't see it.
It should be a memo.
What's it say? What's the
Nate's
title,
sharing it. Nate's sharing it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So what I have here is the memo that we sent out to you. And again, it starts out with kind of a brief summary of what the program is. And then it talks about the revisions versus the LTEC loan fund. It has an added goal to aid in economic recovery in the wake of COVID-19. It's available to any for-profit business and nonprofit organization. You'll see down below, except for housing. Working capital loans can be up to a maximum of $250,000, which is an increase from $100,000 in the LTEC loan fund. Minimum loan amounts will be actually lower than the LTEC loan fund, $25,000. It can be used for mixed-use projects. The interest rate is 2.44%, which is lower than the LTEC loan fund. No substantive changes to collateral requirements or fee structure, and the leveraging private investment requirement was eliminated. And another thing that came out of the loan committee discussion was, because the maximum amount that could be loaned out is $1 million, we thought that it would make sense to put some criteria in place that would not have everybody coming to us asking for $1 million. And the plan talks about, or a requirement of the EDA is that for every $35,000 lent out, that the borrower needs to retain or create a job. So what we decided to do is that, say, for up to $500,000, for each $35,000 of that, the borrower needs to demonstrate that they've retained one job. So one job per $35,000, one job retained per $35,000 borrowed. So, for example, for $500,000, that would be 15 jobs. They need to demonstrate that they're retaining. So anything above the $500,000, they must demonstrate that they're creating one job creating one job per $35,000 borrowed. So if somebody's going to ask for $1 million, they need to show that they are retaining 15 jobs and creating at least 15 jobs. So that's a way for us to really make sure that we can spread the wealth, if you will. I don't know if there's any questions on that, but I thought that was a good idea. I think that was Mike's idea, so thank you, Mike. That makes a lot of sense. And then the other thing that we thought was important is we've already gotten a lot of applications from the manufacturing/warehousing sector. And in order for us to make sure that we're spreading this money out to all sectors, we've established some budgets. They're more targets than anything. And as you'll see in a little bit, we're talking about, we're going to do this in rounds, and we'll see where we're at. But we want to try to distribute the funding to, and you can see the numbers: 3.5 million to manufacturing and warehousing, 2 million to tourism hospitality, $750,000 to retail, commercial, agribusiness, $500,000 for small business working capital loans that we're looking at maybe $25,000 per. So we'll set that aside. 450 for nonprofits, 450,000. And then we've set aside 2.8 million for state leverage special projects. We have a number of projects in the county that were approved for state grants that are kind of hanging out there, and we hope that this will help, will be a catalyst in making those projects happen. Things like the White Inn, or the Welch building, or the Furniture Mart building. These are kind of, hopefully this will help to make those projects happen. So that's a rough budget, and we'll see where we're at after maybe the second round and see if we need to move money around. Any questions on that? So again, we thought it made sense to do this in rounds instead of just saying, okay, first come, first serve, because certainly, some people have responded already, and we have a stack of applications. We want to do this in rounds. So the first round, of which 50% of the total would be lent out, total per sector would be lent out, would be in October. And so what we're going to do is the staff is going to assemble a summary of each of the applications. We're going to take it to the loan committee, and then the loan committee will make recommendations to the board in October. And then we'll do that again in January, and we'll do that again in April. And so we've kind of got a timeline set up for ourselves of when everything needs to occur in order for these applications to come to the boards on those dates. So any questions on that? Okay. So then I guess the last part of this is really kind of the selection criteria. And this is, the loan committee is taking a close look at this. There are special considerations given to projects that offer job benefits to minorities, women, and long-term unemployed. Loans will only be used for purposes which directly result in private job retention and creation, and which contribute to the economic development or stabilization of the county. The loans will finance business economic development related projects, again, directly related to creation or retention of jobs. And it can be used, eligible projects are for land, purchase of land, for improvements, renovations, expansion, equipment, working capital, etc. And that's really it. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I think that we feel pretty good We all know the LTEC loan fund, and this is a variation of that. And we have a good infrastructure in place to manage those. So with that, I'll take any questions. Or Rich, do you have anything to say? Anybody else have anything to say from the staff, and then we can take questions?
Yeah, just as we move forward and every day it becomes clearer and clearer on the targets, Mark, that, we had some large requests for manufacturing, but all in all, the manufacturers that I'm talking to don't seem to be as hard hit as some of the retail operations, the tourism spots. So, as we said, those are targets, and we'll take a look at it. But the demand is much, much larger than the availability of funds. So we will have some decisions to make. So that's all.
And then one last thing, after the 2 years, it reverts back to the LTEC loan fund. So the repayments go to back to really the LTEC loan fund. So we don't keep lending that money out that we're getting back from this 10 million.
I think, Mark, they're going to
keep conditions.
They'll keep the funds separate, but they'll have the same criteria as the Alltech.
Yeah.
Because, the weighting and the measuring, our Alltech fund has got the highest rating of any loan fund. I mean, we do really well with that. This loan fund, after 2 years, when they start ranking and rating this, it will not be as good. So we're going to keep that one aside, just because they'll revert back to the job creation model and some of those other things and the leverage requirements, what they're waiving for 2 years, but then they'll judge you on how you grow that as the loan fund matures.
Thank you. I really need to thank the staff and Nate Aldridge for having this. It's incredible that we have a 10.5 million and Niagara County had about 700,000. So that shows the extreme, the good work and excellent management of our loan fund to be able to receive this large of a dollar amount. I'm going to ask Mr. Peter, since he and I are the only ones that were here 30 years ago, to comment on what this means to the IDA. Oh, you're muted, Greg.
He sounds good that way.
Here I go. We had an opportunity many years ago under the regime of Paul Sandberg. For many, that may not mean much, but Paul and the IDA at the time worked very hard to get the New York State administered LTEC Trust Fund under the guidance and control of the Chautauqua County. And that was a huge effort and a huge get for us at the time, which has served us incredibly well. And frankly, because of the staff over the many years, they have done a very good job of managing that fund. We created a record which has been noticed by the federal agencies, which led to this, or the opportunity for this. And what this particular program is something where this is almost going to double the opportunity for us to almost double what we already have, which is an amazing fund to have within Chautauqua County. Many states, let alone other counties in New York State, are incredibly envious. But that's a real tribute to the staff, the diligence, the working of the program and the plan. And we get very good reports on the annual audits. And that's a tribute to many. I don't want to name names because guys like Dixon get a big head and you can't deal with them. So, again, from a timing perspective, and this goes back many years ago when that first tranche came in, to see a second tranche that's almost going to double when the day is done. This is a big day for the IDA. A big day.
Thank you, Greg. Do we have any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a little bit to add, if I may.
Thank you, Mark.
Last Wednesday, I invited Mr. Geist to speak to my Planning and Economic Development Committee, and thank you so much for that. I mean, as the IDA board, we're all elated to see the news of the big award. And the key thing here, everyone, is we were invited to apply. That's a short club of people that were invited to apply for this funding, and in this congressional district, we got by far the lion's share for Chautauqua County. So again, that's because the IDA, Mark, the staff, everybody has set the bar and set the standards in a number of ways. Not just in this, but with our small loan fund we did for the COVID relief, creating templates that we utilize throughout the state, and that is being noticed, and it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Any other comments before I take a roll call vote? Seeing none. Mike Metzger votes aye. Gary Henry?
Aye.
Hans Sauer?
Aye.
Mark Odell?
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe?
Aye.
Brad Walters?
Aye. Sorry.
Aye.
No, that's okay. Brad Walters?
Aye.
Kelly Farrell Du Bois?
Aye.
You let the record show 7 votes in the affirmative. Motion carried unanimously. Now we'll move to the executive director's report. Mark?
I really don't have anything to say other than, again, a real tribute to the staff. It's great getting this this EDA money, and it's going to put, more work on everyone's laps. And our business development managers and the whole team has been great through the COVID-19 and is stepped up to the plate again. Everyone has more work to do, but everyone's accepts that work and is working hard. So I can't say enough about this staff, and I'm just so grateful for everybody, and I'm grateful for the also for the track record that this IDA has had, and the fact that we were invited to apply for this money. So that's really all I had to say, and I appreciate also the loan committee. They really challenged us to look at this a little harder and be better, and I think we've benefited from that. And I'm also appreciative of our board for paying attention, for board members, calling us out on things, and again, it makes us better, and that's what it's all about. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions of Mark? If not, we'll move to the treasurer's report. Rich, please. You're muted.
Rosie, can you put that up?
Yes. Just give me one moment. It's been really slow to open. Sorry, give me just one moment. It's been really slow to open files.
Since Greg and I were the only ones here 30 years ago, so we'll take full credit.
I'll give you that.
I have it, Rosie. Want me to put it up?
If you don't mind, I apologize. My computer is being very slow with files.
No problem. Why don't you talk to the, we have it in our packet.
All right, it's on the screen. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, can you turn it?
You're asking for a lot here, Mark.
Just rotate up top there.
All right. So we have the balance sheet. We have an additional column in the balance sheet now. It's called the EDA CARES Act Fund. We will be tracking all of our expenses here separately. We will be keeping the loan file separate. Kayla will have a separate file at her office. Along with this act that they passed in Congress, they also passed a lot of money for monitoring this. That was one of the deals they made in Congress. So in here 15 years, we've never had a visit from the EDA on the All-Tech Fund. That won't be the case here. We will have people coming to look at this, so we're prepared for that. Kayla's done a nice job getting ready. So the EDA, they gave us some money for salaries, and that's what you're seeing on the balance sheet. Is we've already expended $54,000 in salaries, and they owe us that money. Everything else is moving along nicely. The cash flow in the All-Tech Fund, it was down, of course, due to COVID, and we'll talk more about that in executive session on the loan fund. The next page is the revenue and expense. The IDA, we'll notice that there's a $200,000 unbudgeted item in there called grant income. We completed our work in Mason Park this year with a potential grant from Empire State Development. We spent most of that money in the infrastructure, preparing the site for NACO, and we also did some work over on the remaining parcel to put an entryway in and some drainage. We mowed it a bunch of times. So that was a $200,000 grant we're going to get from Empire State Development. Kayla and I applied for that about 2 months ago. We might get the money in April, they said, Kayla. They're not the fastest payers in the world, but we show that as a receivable as well.
Don't forget the employee park.
Yeah, and we also did the employee park in Mason Park around the retention pond. We purchased some tables from Jamestown Advanced Products. We're in the midst of getting quotes for a little gazebo over that. So the employees from Standard, CCIDA, Bush Industries, Grand Overhead Door, they want to take a walk over there and sit by the retention pond and eat their lunch, have a cigar, whatever. It's there for them. So came out really nice. Mark helped Kessel design it. So that's there. Going to the variance page.
We can't see any of this, by the way, Rich.
Oh, you can't see it?
I can't.
Anybody else see it?
You got to slide it down.
You're still just on page 1.
You're on page 1. You just got to slide it down.
Well, I'm on page 3 here.
If you stop your share, Rich, and then reshare.
All right, now you're asking for a lot, Rose.
Sorry.
All right, let me see.
There we go. There we go.
You got it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. My screen's almost blank. So revenue, application, and administrative fees. We budgeted more at this point. We're a little down. I expect us to catch up with that. We have some payments coming for some of our large wind projects that we haven't recognized as revenue. We also have some rather large projects in the wings. So I believe we're going to be okay on our budget. The grant income, you'll see other than $254,000 that were over budget under. We will adjust the budget again in September, Mike and Hansi. Once we know how much of the EDA money we're going to draw down, we'll have to recognize that as revenue, plus these other grants. So we'll make an adjustment in September to see how it goes, because we don't recognize the revenue from Altech until we actually get the money from them, and we have to do that by a year. So on the expense side, well, our interest income is a little down. We have a lot of people that aren't paying interest now, but they are accruing it. And we've got a month to post there. We're a month behind in our posting, but so we should catch up with that a little bit. On the other side, there's a lot of timing issues. I don't see anything in there. The insurance line, we had paid last year $20,000 to keep the Castelli plant insured because that was our collateral for our Altech loan and a critic loan. And we did get that reimbursed from the state this year, so that's why the insurance line is showing such a negative. But all in all, I think we're in pretty good shape, and I expect we're going to have a good year. So that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Great, thank you, Rich. Any questions for Rich? If not, I'll ask for a motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Mark, seconded by Kelly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Abstain? Let the record show 7 votes in the affirmative. Motion carried unanimously. Any old business to come before this forum?
How about executive session, Mike?
Oh, thank you, Mark. I apologize.
Okay.
I would like to accept a motion to move to executive session to discuss particular industries relative to our LTEC loan fund. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Hans, I think I saw,
Second.
and seconded by who?
Brad.
Brad, thank you. Made by Hans, seconded by Brad. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried unanimously. Rosie, tell us when we're in executive
Okay,
session.
thank you. Take me just a second.